I do wish that this review had landed within December, but at least it showed up after Halloween. Small favors. A Christmas Carol. So the Christmas special of Doctor Who following Series 5. My relationship with the Christmas specials is often a contentious one. They have a tendency to be a bit more frivolous, play a bit more fast and loose with just the show overall, with the tone. They just favor kind of a lighter vibe. And not that Doctor Who can't be light and fun, but the Christmas specials often have a very distinct flavor to them, which, speaking personally, is not really one I care for all that much. So, this one, here's what I'll give this one. I would argue that this is the most Christmassy Christmas special that ever Christmased. At least as far as Doctor Who is concerned. Because pretty much all the other Christmas specials, the Christmas elements are incidental. It is a coincidence of the timing, and it contributes to certain visual cues. So like the Christmas Invasion, we had the killer Christmas tree and the Santa robots. The Runaway Bride had almost no Christmas iconography because it was all based around the wedding, but there was still, a little, the Christmas, the Santa robots came back. There was the Christmas star in the sky, and then you had Voyage of the Damned, which was set at Christmas and had a little bit of the iconography, but again, with all of those cases, and also, End of Time Part 1 was technically a Christmas special. And in all those cases, and also with The Next Doctor, it being Christmas doesn't actually impact the plot. It just happens to be Christmas, which is fine as far as these things go. But the thing of it is... And I just, for the record, I just realized I forgot to swap out for the circular glasses, but I'm not going to switch because I'm on a roll already. But anyways, the thing of it is, this one, definitely more than any one prior, Christmas actually impacts the plot. You wouldn't tell this story this way if it wasn't Christmas. All the Christmas specials prior to this, you could remove the Christmas elements and you basically don't have to change anything substantive about the story, the narrative, the plot progressions, or the characters involved. You just change one or two lines and a couple of the visual elements. Everything else stays the same. Not the case here. Down to its structure, this is informed by Christmas. And you can take that as a good thing or a bad thing. I would label it a bold thing. I do certainly appreciate on paper the whole idea of really upping how important Christmas is to the story, because it's factoring into this across the board. From the fact that it takes both its title and its story structure and its concept from the Dickens Christmas classic, A Christmas Carol. And that immediately makes Christmas way more important. And then you have the elements of the recurring Christmas. They come back every year and do this thing. And the Christmas carols actually end up being a function of it. All this matters a heck of a lot more to the plot. If you were to remove the Christmas elements from this thing, you would actually have to restructure the thing almost from the ground up, because it has so many cues and narrative nods to A Christmas Carol and things of that ilk. So I do admire that. The end result is decent, I'd say, because, look... Doing riffs on A Christmas Carol is not a new idea. There are a lot of, first of all, straightforward adaptations of A Christmas Carol. There's also a lot of riffs on it. You've got Scrooged. You've got stuff like the Girlfriends of Christmas Past. You've got all these things that take these concept. So many shows, not even sci-fi shows, like from sitcoms to animated things, like so many things have done their version of A Christmas Carol in one way or another. Like my introduction to this story was Mickey's Christmas Carol, for crying out loud. So there isn't really much new that you can bring to the story of, Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future. That said, switching up the reason for it to be a much more practical, we're not trying to necessarily save this guy's soul. That's coincidental if we pull that off. We're doing this for a very real and practical purpose of saving people on a cruise ship. And it's interesting seeing Doctor Who dip into the idea of going back to change someone's past in order to change who they are. I'm glad the show doesn't get into it too much because it's very morally iffy. Because you're literally rewriting someone's personality effectively, or at least you're trying to. So I'm glad it's something the show hasn't really done since, but it's kind of a neat idea. And also, it should be said, Michael Gambon, he's a great Scrooge. I know the character's not actually named Scrooge, but it's the Scrooge figure that he's playing. And he's really good at that. He's good at being nasty, but he's also good at having that turn. Because it's not just a matter of being nasty and then being nice. It's the transition from one to the other that he has to pull off. Sometimes within the same single shot. And he can do that. He's quite good at it. So that was really cool too. But then you get into things like the flying fish. Which is the kind of, it's Christmas, it's allowed to be silly level of whimsy that tends to not sit super well with me in these episodes. And I'm not like above flying fish, but it's just so arbitrary. And I don't think they would imagine they could get away with it at any time other than a Christmas special. Just because, like I said, the rules are a bit more lax. So that's a little bit off. Smith's doing pretty good here. He has some. I forgot how good some of his lines are in this. He's got the psychic paper. I believe you'll see I'm universally recognized as a mature adult. Oh, finally shorted out. Too big a lie. Things like that I really enjoyed. Him just bopping around the way he does. He's got great energy for this, but also that mischievous look when he's like, oh, I guess I'm the ghost of Christmas past, which I'm kind of glad he has that more mischievous thing going on there, and it's not just gleeful because, like I said, rewriting somebody's personality, you can't, be flippant about that, and he is putting more thought and measure into actually doing that, which is good. He should be. Amy and Rory are largely absent from the story, so there isn't a ton to say about them. I mean, they're fine. The two actors are good together. They have good chemistry. They are fine. The woman who does the singing, who plays Abigail, she's fine. I should have checked that. I believe that is actually her singing, and she was hired primarily for her singing. And her acting's fine. It's fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine. Her singing is quite good. So I would say this overall is on the upper end of the Christmas specials for me, because while I don't love, if I measure this against the scale of any other Doctor Who episode, I don't really love it. But if I measure it on the scale of the Christmas specials, which is a different metric, I like it pretty well, and I certainly appreciate the fact that being a Christmas special is much more integral to what's going on than is usually the case with these things. For that alone, I appreciate it, especially because, honestly, I whether you air it at Christmas or not, how just token some of the Christmas nods were in the previous specials. It's nice to see something where there was more thought put into it being a Christmas special and, what can we actually really do with that. The end results, I think it is a good execution of what it's trying to be. What it's trying to be is not really for me. But I can't say it's a failure. It's just not... It's not what I want because, like I said, Christmas specials, they're not really They're just not really my jam, broadly speaking. But this one's pretty good at the end of the day. So, what are your thoughts on it? A Christmas Carol, whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you want to hand me an early Christmas present, there's the Patreon link down there. That would be a massive help. But even failing that, you could still like, subscribe, share this video around. That helps me out as well. There's other stuff to check out down there besides. I have other channels, including a secondary channel for this called Break Room of Geeks, which opened up fairly recently. So there's other links, social media, blah, blah, blah. Click on things, buttons, links. They take you places. But you also don't have to. End of the day, you're the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.